Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And today I have Ehsan here. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So you want to share your full OP type with us?
Yeah, it's audio NITI sleep last play.
Right, so you are Sadhguru's type twin.
Indeed so, as well as a couple of other individuals.
Who?
Yeah, it's quite a bit of them, I think. There's Novak, Sadhguru, and then there's Casey Neistat, I believe, as well.
Oh yeah, Casey, yeah. That's
Yeah.
so true. Pretty different, those guys, aren't they?
I'd say so, yeah. But if you're going to look at them based on the coins, right? So you look at, Blast, all this kind of stuff, then you'll see it, but they're kind of different for sure, right?
Yeah.
Behavioral wise, all that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah. Is there one or like some of them that you relate to more, or?
I would say that I kind of relate to how they approach, well, like, being in a position to always talk and that kind of stuff. I relate to that part, like, find it very easy to communicate, keeping in touch with the tribe, all that kind of stuff. Like, no, and the manner in which they do it, right? They're trying to inspire the tribe, right? Motivating the tribe, that kind of stuff with the NF Blast. Yeah, I see that as well. Bits of that sprinkled within myself too, so definitely. But with the SE, it'll be different, right? So it'll be interesting, different stuff, but they're still going about in like the same kind of manner as well.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting with type twins. I haven't spotted any female type twins so far, which would be interesting, but I have seen, like, Cesar Milan and this actor guy, Chiwetel, from
that guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're pretty similar. Like you and I, we're just one coin off, apart from the male female, of course. But I mean, we have the DI/DE. That is our difference. That's our only difference, I think.
All right. Very interesting.
So let's start from there. Like, I'm really curious to compare notes on the DI/DE coin. I don't know how to phrase this, but okay, so in terms of DI and DE, do you feel that it's very close between the two for you? Can you move easily between the two, or do you feel that you have kind of a void in the DE?
There's definitely a void in the DE, but it's also difficult, right? Because double decider, double activate DE. So it's like what I kind of see with that happening is like I'll still do me. I want to be selfish and all that kind of stuff and just do my little thing. But I'll still have, the tribe in my head as well. So it's like it can clash both of them. But having like masculine DI is kind of like crap because it's like I'm not gonna move, right? So I'm just gonna be like, oh well, I can see the tribe's opinion, but I'm not gonna move. So that's kind of like where the clash kind of happens a lot of the time. I guess if I had like feminine DI, that'd probably be easier.
Yeah, I think I can relate because I also feel that I have a void for me then in the DI, and that I, by default, I will do the DE first. So even though I try to tap into my DI more and be more quote unquote selfish, it's not really selfish, but I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, like
to me,
your
that
perspective,
feels, right.
Yeah.
So
I don't feel selfish at all, to be honest. It's just like, it's just normal, right? So for me, it's like my normal state of mind to just be like, oh, I want to do me. That's it. And it's like on the later end, some people might point out like, oh, what about, my perspective or my this? I'll be like, oh, right, yeah, your perspective.
What's that?
I know, right? So it's funny as well, like prior to getting typed, I thought I was an IP as well. So I did see the DI pretty strongly as well, but I didn't see the single observer part at all, to be honest.
Oh, that's so interesting. So tell me more about that then. Like, why did you see yourself as a decider?
A lot of people problems, right? And I kind of See, I feel like everybody has people problems, right? But at the time, I didn't really have a really complete, like an enhanced understanding of the system. But
Mm,
I could see that I was getting into a lot of conflicts with other people. So I was like, okay, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm a single decider. And I was like, I didn't really see the, because I remember Dave talking a lot about, oh, observers have like computer problems, just smashing stuff up, right, and just having
mm.
tantrums, all this kind of stuff. Like, so I
Right,
was just
yeah,
like,
you
so
can
I was like,
relate.
yeah, definitely. So I was just like, nah, that can't be me.
Mm,
But that side of myself, it still happens. Like I do freak out, but I'm not looking at that type of freak outs. But like the decided freak outs, I can see those, right? So I'm like, oh,
mm,
okay, I can. But I feel like it's normal to freak out about people. Like it's not like, but you know, at the same time, I'm not really scared of people. I'd say that's for
mm,
sure. Like people are kind of like a safe zone for me. Just to fight the thing, right? The thing is kind of the big problem, and like, people are
mm.
kind of like, you can work with them to fight the thing. That's kind of like the perspective. I figured out later on. That's what I was doing basically.
Yeah, right. I guess what they also say in OP is that in the end of the day, we are all deciders,
Yeah,
because I
for
mean,
sure.
that's the thing that is sensitive to us. When it doesn't work, the thing that is really sensitive to us is,
Mm.
feelings and relationships and all that. So it's kind of a human thing.
Yeah, definitely,
Um,
100%.
mm,
It's normal, isn't it? Especially, I think age as well. Age is probably a big factor because in me, I'm in my 20s, right? So I'm still trying to find my own DI in a way as well. Like uh it's still, kind of a, I wouldn't say difficult process, but you still have a lot of like fear, anxiety, that kind of stuff, right? Even if
mm,
we're like in your 20s. So um I think it's pretty normal for a lot of people to think that they are deciders, especially when they're younger.
mm, right. Yeah. Yeah. Seems reasonable. So then when you learned that you're a single observer, did you see more of that than like for example, maybe this is a weird question,
Yeah.
but anyways, I'll ask you. So what was your reaction to the pandemic when it started?
Yeah, it was pretty, like the fear part, right, was kicking in big time because I was like, shit, yo, this is a big change. You know what I mean? Like, how is this gonna affect the things I'm gonna do on a day-to-day basis? And it was
Mhm.
just very scary time, I'd say for sure.
Ye-
But it's like built up anxiety, right, as well. But like at the same time, I'm not looking at it as well. So I was just like, it was
mm.
just bubbling up under the surface kind of thing. Yeah, pretty much. It was difficult for sure.
Can you see that there was a difference in how you reacted to how some other people reacted in your surrounding?
Yeah, for some of the people, like the decider ones, especially, they will find it a lot more like, oh, it's normal, right? Like, well, I guess it's not normal, but they'll be like, okay, we'll just give it our best shot, right? It's not the end of the world kind of thing. Like,
Mm.
they get over it.
While for us, it's almost the end of the world. Like, at least in the moment. I was thinking of that the other day when I was watching the Q&A, the latest one, where they are talking about COVID. And Dave said that it took him like a couple of months before he had kind of, yeah, got a hang of the situation and figured out where to go from here. And I would say that was pretty accurate for me as well. Like I was thrown off for a couple of months and pretty, yeah, I was pretty worked up about it. Maybe
Mm,
more on the inside, but I think it leaked out as well. And then when you get, the new situation, you get some sort of imagined control, I guess.
yeah,
And you feel a
for
little bit
sure.
more at ease. Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, it's like uncertainty as well, right? Because it's like you don't know for sure what's gonna happen. It's kind of like
Mm,
things are up in the air, and it's like, is it gonna be all right? Is it not gonna be all right? Kind of thing. Like it's supposed to be
right.
finished now, but like it's still going on. Is it gonna finish now? Nope, still going on. Still going
Yeah.
on, right?
A
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
like that kind of stuff.
uncertainty. Yeah, right. And even now we have like threats of war, at least where I'm at. I don't know how you experience it in the
Bloody hell, yeah.
UK. There are a lot of things going on, right? And
But it's
we're
not a
here
good time.
laughing.
It's not a good
Yeah.
time.
It's not a good time, no, because even Russia is pretty close to Sweden, so I
Oh
don't
my
know
gosh, yeah,
exactly
it is.
yeah, they said on the news yesterday that we cannot rule out that at some point Sweden could be attacked as well. So Finland and Sweden are kind of, doing some sort of agreement now between themselves to, yeah, I guess work together in case.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Sweden hasn't been at war for, I think, more than 200 years. So we are basically sitting ducks here in this country. Very easy targets.
Bloody hell, that sounds like a
Yeah.
nightmare. That.
But I'm not very worked out about that. I don't know. I felt more, I don't know, maybe because war is so unfamiliar, but to us in this part of the
Yeah,
world. But I think the
true.
pandemic was, to me personally, something that stressed me out more than this situation right now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are hurt by it, definitely. A lot of businesses, especially. I think a lot of like savior play people probably definitely felt it. Mainly because right, they have to stay inside, right, and like be
Mm,
confined in one little space, and one after the communication would be like lowered down as well with the tribes. So it's like mainly like at work from the whole working from home thing, right? So
yeah.
I'd imagine like the pandemic had like different types of hits to different people for like different reasons. Type of
Yeah.
it.
Right. Look at us. We have been talking about things now for, I think, 10 or 15 minutes. So we are
People just don't
observers.
exist, right? That's just it.
Where are the people anyways? Yeah. Let's talk about people problems.
Yeah,
You have
yeah, of course.
you said you had people problems. So anything you want to share, feel free. I can share as well after.
Uh, yeah. At the time, I was sort of having a problem with. I don't know if it's missing information. It could be, but it was like there was lack of communication between me and another individual, and
Mm,
from their side mainly. And I was like trying to fix the situation, trying to understand what's like what's the problem here, because and they weren't telling me the number one the problem, number two they weren't like communicating where we were at the moment, right? Like, where does this stand? Are we
mm,
like in conflict? Or are we cool? Like, you know what I mean? Because like because they did we talk for lots of times, and then the communication, of course, like just go down the drain, right? So I was just like, what's going on here? I was like trying to figure that out, and then
mm.
yeah, one thing led to another, and then I ended up getting like threatened for like a fight or something like that, like.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. So
Yeah, yeah, it's just chaos, right? You know what's funny as well? Like at the end of it, I was just like, what? Where does this come from? You know what I mean? Like I didn't like to me,
you
it
didn't.
wasn't like they thought I was like kind of like harassing them, right? But like for me, I was like, the only reason why I'm being like really like talkative in this manner, like I'm like technically annoying them, right? It's because they're not giving me clarity. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get the clarity here, and there's no
Yeah,
clarity being given from them. So I'm like, what do you want me to do, right? So I'm like pushing for the clarity, which isn't getting, which I'm not
exactly.
getting. So I was just like, yeah. But at the same time, right? I wasn't like emotionally like angry. Like I was like, I'm gonna fight this guy, right? I was like, I'm not gonna
Mm,
fight this guy. Like I even told him, like, you know what I mean? Me like I basically smoothed it over afterwards. Like I was like, I can understand why you'd be angry, you know what I mean? Because like I know if somebody did that to me, like I'd be pretty pissed as well. But like, seeing from
mm.
his perspective, all that kind of stuff. And I was like smoothing it over. I was like, we don't need to fight, but don't worry about it. You can just do your thing.
Yeah.
Why am I gonna have a bloody fight? I was like, it's just a waste of time, man. Forget that.
Yeah, go fight with yourself. Like, yeah.
Fight with yourself, lad.
So interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I can actually see what you're talking about. That's so interesting. I was thinking of a couple of things while you were talking. So one thing, like the lack of communication, made me think of the Q&A, I think, about the energy and info DOMs we had also this last week. Um,
Yeah.
don't know if you saw it, but they were talking about like how conversations are missing sort of, and relationships dying, because
You know,
of it.
yeah. What's also interesting is like I can see from my side like how I can give lack of communication to others too. Like
Mm,
and like especially with the info side of things, right? I
yeah,
can mess it up there too, and like other people can be pissed at me for like like because I'll be like I don't even want to talk because I'm like I just want to now let's just blast play, right? Get things done. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Get on our feet, get moving, get active, all that kind of stuff. Like, why do we have
Mm,
to constantly talk throughout the entire day, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah, it's so
yeah,
annoying.
yeah, like exactly. Like just shush and like do your thing, right? Like
Yeah. Even for the blasters, that I think is so interesting. Like, you would think that the blasters wouldn't have problems
yes,
communicating, but we are like blast last sometimes in these
100%,
situations.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
thinking of, I think my little sister is an info dom, and it's so interesting when we are going to do something together, and also I think she's savior consumed. So I just want to get started, and say we are gonna
yeah,
paint something, paint a wall together. And for me, it's like, okay, it's gonna be blue, grayish, something. Let's find the color. Let's go to the shop and just buy it and get back home and get started. And she's
yeah.
like, no, she has to
Nah,
consume
I'm gonna
for
look at lots of
days
different
and
ones.
days and days, first online for ages. And finally we go to the store and then we have to bring home samples. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Oh, they
Let's check that fast. No, then we have to, combine with so many different options, with the furniture, blah, 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 with different lightings. And I'm like, why are we not getting started? And
they
everything is, yeah, it's so different, the process. And a lot of info going back and forth. She wants to discuss it. And I'm like, let's not discuss it, let's do it. And then, along the way, we can discuss whatever the next step is,
100%.
Um,
Like I could also say like if I was in your situation, like for me, I would just be like, just bloody pick one. You know what I mean? Just pick one. Let's just get this
yeah,
over with, right? Because it's like I think like part of the consumer right is like you're respecting information. So like you're kind of like, oh, you're like, I don't know, it could be this, might be this one. So like you're analyzing right all of these like different options that you got.
yeah,
Like with me, like with the consumer being lower, I noticed there's more like irritability, a little more like get agitated, right? Or like just hurry
yeah,
up, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
let's just
yeah,
get
yeah.
things going.
It's like you get really impatient on the inside. But for me, I mean, you have Effie in the middle as well, and Effie
Oh
savior.
mate, so you gotta be nice in it. So you
You
just
gotta be
like
nice, yeah. You
annoying,
feel
man.
the
Honestly,
burning of, just eagerness to get started and annoyance that it's taking so much time.
that FE man, it's a real bummer to be honest. Because
Yeah,
it being feminine as well kind of sucks because you just end up being so like trying to like tiptoe around, trying to make sure you don't like say anything. You know what I mean? That could potentially,
exactly.
yeah, man,
You have to do that Effie dance, whether you want to or not. You're just
for sure.
obligated.
If only was an option, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I must say, like, we both have feminine tribe, so feminine DE. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking of like the masculine DE. I'm looking at it every once in a while and I'm admiring it. And I'm thinking, like, it seems to come in handy, for practical reasons so many times, like getting
Yes.
conversations started, being upfront, showing what you really think.
Yeah.
Then
They're
things
really
will be
upfront,
so.
right? Like they're really just like they just say how it is, right? I like that a lot. I think that's great because like one of the downsides I think of like femininity especially is like you just don't be up like it's just no you're not being honest I think in a certain way because you just be like oh yeah I'm cool with you right everything's great but like you're walking away thinking this guy's just an idiot like just twat I just want to ignore this
You
guy
do?
right like you won't say it to the face like what am I gonna say to your face I'm gonna walk off like forget this
Yeah.
guy man. You know what I mean so it's like I like
I
how upfront we can be and honest.
Yeah, and I think also with intuition, like you have the ability to see the different ways things can go, So you have that feminine DE, and then you're also like, yeah, it could go this way or that way. So Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not always annoyed. It's more like I think I get lost because I have DI as a demon. And I'm more like, yeah, that could work. And it's not until later I know what I really thought, what I really wanted, you know. So I'm just positive on the front end. And I actually believe myself, and other people believe me as well, you know. I'm kind of
Yeah.
leading them on as I am leading myself on as well, you know. So
Yeah,
that,
I would have instantly known like what I would have thought of that situation. Like I normally what happens is I assess, is this situation really worth me engaging and like wasting my energy on? Like if it's like not gonna happen, I'm just straight up gonna be like, yeah, this is a really great idea. I love that you're invested in it, right? And like just do the whole
right.
sing song dancey thing, but like try and
Yeah.
like say, nah, I'm good, thanks, kind of way. But like make it sound like not nasty, you know what I mean? Make it just sound as nice
Mm,
as you can.
yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I think I do that. Sometimes I know instantly. I guess it depends. You know, sometimes there are things that you care more about and other things you care less about. So if it's like a thing that you don't really care that much about, you think you are fine to go in this or that direction, and maybe you are, or maybe
Yeah.
you discover along the way that no, I wasn't. I think that's the DE dilemma. You will be going along maybe a bit more. I don't know. Do you go along
Mm,
just for the sake of it, you know? No, you don't. Masculine TI, savior.
absolutely not.
Yeah, I saw it.
I'll be very quick to just be like, I'm not doing this. Forget this. Like
Hmm.
be nice, but just be like fuck the tribe kind of thing. Like
Yeah, right. Oh,
yeah,
oh, so you, yeah, I can see that your distance to your DI is so much closer than mine. Like I need to pass that
but
DE
you know what's
before I
like
get to the
interesting though
DI. Yeah.
is like if you I see people with DI higher than mine, and I
Mm-hmm.
see myself being in your position of like being like a way more DE. Like I will
Yeah.
like ignore myself and be like, oh, I want to help these guys. You know what I mean? Because I can see how
Mm.
like so inwardly they are to their own like thing. I'm like, bro, can you just look over here? Like the tribe's kind of annoyed at you for this reason. Like you're gonna need to, you know what I mean? Like in order to get the tribe off your back, because I know you want to do your DI, you're gonna need to do this, right? Like
Yeah.
I can see how like people with DI higher than ours, right? Like second or first, like they get into
Yeah.
trouble way more.
Yeah.
Um,
And even like people who are not jumpers, non-jumpers, but also DI second, like yourself, because they say the grand stack still matters. So
yeah.
maybe even in those cases, would you say?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I do think it seems to work out like that as well. But just
Mm.
DI in itself is just like kind of sucks, and DE sounds better to be honest. Like, listen, you might have your own like DI problems, but like just you don't want the tribe after you. Like, just be friendly with the tribe, right? That just sounds like a really good strategy to be honest.
Yeah. It is. Well, I think Shannon and Dave, they usually tell the ISTPs to be fake because they have their FE last and they feel so fake when they are doing the tribe thing. But just be fake, be nice,
Yeah,
and pretend that it's okay. And you know, it's kind of the fake it till you make it strategy, and it will
yes, for
actually
sure.
be helpful. So feminine DE isn't all bad, you know. Being able to go along can be a good thing as well, I
Hmm,
guess. Trying to
for
convince
sure.
myself. Yeah.
FE last sounds like a really, really tough thing to have, to be honest. I
Mm.
kind of relate when it's like it kind of does feel fake, but I feel like I do a lot of the time, right? Because I do work with kids as well. So
Oh.
it's like I do a lot of that sing-songy dancey with them guys as well. So
Mm.
I'm like, this is kind of like a chameleon almost of like, oh, I can just how do you describe it? It's like you can just I can switch characters really easily and just be like, oh, like super FE mode, and like it won't feel fake anymore because like I've already like done it quite a bit anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like yeah, I just feel like it's one of those things you just gotta do more and more often. At first, you will feel weird about it, be like you know what I mean, like fuck the tribe, right? Like,
Hmm. Yeah,
you just
right.
want to, yeah, you just want to be like, oh, I just want to do me, that's it. But like, you sometimes you just gotta, you know what I mean, ignore what you have to think and just go along with, just make the tribe happy, you know what I mean. As long as they're happy, then you can do your own DI thing. It works
Yeah,
out
yeah.
afterwards, like.
It's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah, you should be one of the most movable double deciders, being a jumper. I think the jumpers should be those who are very flexible with the two deciders.
In theory, yes, for sure. But
Yeah.
mine being masculine as well kind of does.
Yeah, the TI masculine. Yeah, it's hard.
TI
Even
as well, man. TI is annoying, man. Trust me.
I know, mine too. Even though it's a demon.
Yeah.
It's even worse, I think, when it's a demon because it will come off more rude, I think, maybe. And
Yes. It's like similar with, like demon masculine FI. Like they're way more intense than like savior FI. Like
yeah.
savior FIs aren't like they're really nice, I feel like as well.
Mm,
But like when it's like demon and you're not aware of it, when it comes to punch you, like you're definitely gonna feel it.
right. Yes.
On
Yes.
the outside, you're just like, God, you're just getting like hit with a train, right? Just like,
Yeah. Because you've been
yeah,
waiting for so long. I mean, not consciously waiting, but I guess doing your saviors for too long. And when it finally gets, the space it should have been having for, I mean, way back, it will come with force. Yeah. Because there is some sort of buildup going on, even, unconsciously. I guess the hardest struggle would be for the EJs having it all the way down at the bottom and,
yeah.
building up all of that DI energy for quite a while before you finally strike.
Oh my God, bro. I want to
Yeah.
get on their bad side, that's for sure.
No. For sure not.
I've got a brother who's kind of like that similar situation as well. I've got to make sure I keep him happy. Like my FP's like, all right, I'm gonna make sure you're happy. You know what I mean? I don't want, as soon as he's like
Yeah.
not happy, I'm feeling it. I'm just saying like that.
Yeah. But also it's kind of sad, because I don't just want to keep people happy for the sake of keeping them happy. I mean,
Yeah.
then you lose the component of authenticity and the sincerity. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So more about your type, SM, your
I don't
awesome
know what's
type.
happened there. We've just been, you know what I mean?
We're just talking. But I was thinking like a lot of people in your, like with your functions, I guess maybe myself included, but more the DIs, I think, are in the guru business, so to speak.
Yeah.
Any future plans to become a guru when you get old? Stupid question, I know.
You mean like Sadhguru type of thing of like,
Yeah, kind of a guide. Yeah, leading people, showing them the way or guiding them, instructing. I mean, yeah, tell us more about your future work. Maybe that will be not exactly guru, but anyway, a leader.
I think,
Leader.
yeah, how we can come across as guru-like would be, so like when you think of a guru, right, you think of somebody not just leading, but I think like they're trying to emotionally like rally people up, like Jesus and all that kind of stuff, like emotion, get the emotions going, all that kind of stuff. Because then they, if they care and they're like emotionally invested, they're way more likely to do it than if I just explain to them like, okay, here's the tea, and I just do it. Like we all know, like what I mean, we all know what we need to do, but the simple fact is none of us do it, right? Like
Right.
we all know we should eat clean, exercise, all that kind of stuff, but we never do it. Like we just want to go back to all stuff. That's why you watch motivational videos, right? So it's like, why do you watch motivational videos? To like get you emotionally riled up, because that's one of the tools that works. You know what I mean? Like it's the number one thing. It's such a powerful muscle that it can help you to get up and actually do things, right? Like that's the main thing that's going to help you do things, is like that motivation. But like at the same time, there's another problem, of course, where it's like you got to create that motivation. It's not just going to happen to you randomly. You know what I mean? You got to actually get up on your 2 feet and start making things happen. Otherwise, you're just going to be stranded there. Things are going to pass you by. You're not going to do anything. And you probably feel like crap as well. So that's probably not a situation you're gonna want to be in. So, you know what I mean? Get on your two feet, make things happen. Get emotions riled up in it. That's really good as well. Get angry about it. Show you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff that helps. I think anger is a good tool. anger especially is really good, I feel like, because it's like one of those key things where that's the one thing that'll push you, that spring into action. Because I feel like if you just logically think it out, it's like, again, who cares? You're not gonna care either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta actually like get some passion there. I feel like passion is a really good thing as well. Like, yeah, go on.
Yeah. It's such a strong driving force, like a motivation, as you're saying. I was just thinking about something when I was very upset about something, which isn't really my style.
Yeah,
But I remember how much that energy helped me to accomplish a lot of things. So yeah, I'm just tapping into what you're saying. It's so true. Yeah,
yeah.
go on. Tell me
It's
more about
like
that.
it's like being competitive as well, right? Like being competitive can help you accomplish
Mm,
lots of tasks as well. Like when you look into like being competitive, like what is that? Like why are you really competitive, right? Like you just like you want to do better than this guy, right? Or like XYZ to like you just want to
mm,
beat him, right? But like why? Like what's pushing that? You know what I mean? It's like that internal drive, right? Like it's within all of us, right? And it's like it's important to like keep that push. You gotta put a lot of time to that as well. I feel like
mm.
because like sorry about that. The
No,
when you're like pushing yourself up, uh emotionally like pushing yourself, yeah, you just do a lot of things right. So
yeah.
with the like being competitive thing, it's like you just yeah, being competitive, being angry, all those kind of stuff as well is just many different ways of just using that emotion to try and get the thing done eventually. Um, which I think
Mm.
is good to use, like whichever way you can use, whatever emotion you want to use to try and like get the thing done is great, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So your guru style would be to to speak to people's aggressiveness, their inner aggressions, to work with that.
Uh, maybe, but I don't get aggressive. Like that's the thing. Like me personally, like I'll get angry. Don't get me wrong, but like it'll mainly just be like the sensory of like, oh, this thing's annoying me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. But it's not like a case of like, okay, this thing's annoying me, therefore I'm going to just be in a competition with this thing. You know what I mean? Like this laptop, like, oh, this laptop's annoying me. So I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
work like that. I feel like, but I feel like if you're like trying to, do better than people, I think people would be a good way to exploit that as well. But like being a double decided, like I don't care about people, so it's really unfortunate. I think as well.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate.
I know, right?
Oh, like
See,
even
single deciders, look, there might be, you know what I mean, like they're having their people problems, but those guys are passionate, you know what I mean? And I think that's a really nice tool to have. Like, you see,
it
these
is
guys are just killing it, right? Because
right.
it
Yeah.
comes back to that competitive like nature, right? That drive of like, you know what I mean?
Mm,
I want to be like, if it's a DI, at the top, they'd be like, I want to be the best guy here, and like, I want to be
mm.
the best. I want to be better than all the tribes. You know what I mean? But like, it's admirable to see from the outside because they're actually killing it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, they
not even
are.
fault it.
Yeah, they are really doers as well. I do admire the deciders a great deal. They have some advantages there going for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even for me, having FE as a savior, but I still feel that deciders with no FE or FE last seem to care more about people than I do, which is kind of
100%,
ironic.
100%.
Yeah.
You know what it is as well? Is they not just care, but they're way more like scared about it. They're way more like, okay, hey, you like if it's a DI at the top and FE last, it's like
Mm,
every situation, like, hey, you got to do FE. You have to do FE.
yeah.
Like you see the state, they're just like shake. They're like, oh mate, you like it's like serious talk, right? You know how like we have like the serious talk with like things. That's like their
Mm,
serious talk. It's just like just be
yeah.
nice. You know what I mean? Like, like don't just try not to just give people compliments as well. Compliments is a great
Mm,
tool.
so
Um,
true. Yeah, that's a good wording.
yeah,
Compliments is a great tool because that is actually what FE is doing all the time, using these things as tools, these
yes, for
social,
sure.
yeah,
Like me
tools.
personally, I don't give a shit, but like I would just want to make you happy, you know what I mean, kind of thing.
Oh
Like
no, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that's
yeah,
just
yeah.
me being honest, right? Like
Got
I'll do
you.
the sing song dance, but I'll walk away like I don't care at all. But like I still feel obligated to want to do that kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like still want to make, like affect their emotions in some way, shape, or form.
Mm. I think it's a bit different having it as a savior because I feel like I actually do care. I do in the moment.
I might I'm just being mean there, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But of course, not all the time. But most times I
yeah,
do. I sincerely do care. But also because it's FE, it's not like a huge thing. It's like right here, right now. This is important. But moving on to the next thing, and that is
the
already
priorities are changing, right?
yeah,
Yeah. All right, I got you.
yeah.
I can relate to that for sure. Yeah. Um.
So we are being sincere, but it's sincerity in the moment. It's not like a long term. Of course, if you do build on that for a while, then it will become deeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. How can you tell like one random FE act apart from a real, sincere, similar act? Like from the
Yeah.
outside, they will look exactly the same, but from the inside, they will
100%.
be profoundly different.
Yeah. I feel like we all have like a innate nature to want to be nice as well. We still have connection. Like we all have DE. Like we all
Mhm.
want to connect with people, regardless.
Yeah,
Even if you're DI, right? Like um,
yeah,
you can still feel lonely. You can still feel scared, all this kind of stuff as well, because you kind of like. I feel it sometimes as well. I'm like, oh my god, like, what are people thinking about me, kind of thing, right? And like I
mhm.
can feel a bit weird about it as well, but um yeah, I would imagine it's really hard for like even like single decided, IPs. Like I think that would be really tough as well, especially I think feeling alone would be a lot more prevalent. Like Billie Eilish talks about that a lot
Mhm.
within her music and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, you know what I mean? Just mingle with the tribe, give them a bunch of compliments, all that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah, it's
you will win them
helpful.
over.
It goes a long way. And that's
Yeah.
actually just the principle of being civil, I guess, a little bit of politeness. It doesn't hurt anyone to be polite.
Yeah, I think another thing as well, tone your TI down. Like after learn to do that as well, of like toning that. Like someone might
Yeah,
say something that'll be inaccurate, and I'll be like, I'm gonna jump in now. But like you gotta learn to just be like, don't jump in, bro. Just keep it to
yeah,
yourself. Like
yeah,
smile,
yeah.
just don't worry about it. Because the minute you
Yeah,
start jumping in, then it starts ruining whoever you have with that other person, right?
right. Because you want to get to the goal. I mean, if you have a great, fully working machine, that is the whole point. But then again, if you lack the oil, you will break the whole thing, and the
Yeah,
oil is just a little bit something that you add from the outside, I mean, the value of the oil compared to the value of the machine is very little, but still it's needed. And that's
yeah,
like FE works, like TI does the whole work. That's the machine. But if you don't add the FE, you will never be able to get to the TI and, share that important thing that you want to share.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Emotions and thinking, both come hand in hand. Like you can't do one without the other, kind of thing. If you do too much thinking, you're gonna end up looking a bit like a robot kind of thing of like, you know what I mean? Like this guy just, but like people are kind of question like, do you really care, right? And it's like
Mm.
that person who's like doing all thinking, right? Like, of course I care, but like just not showing it, right? Because they're just too busy focusing on making the thing work. So
Yeah.
like you go to both of the thing of like you got to show the people that you care about, you know what I mean? That thing that you're working on at the same time, make sure that thing's actually working. That'd be a
Yeah,
good thing.
that would be a very good thing.
Yeah, it'd
Wow.
be a shame if you just like hyping you up and be like, this is gonna be amazing, guys. And it
Yeah.
like doesn't work.
Okay, let me see here. I just want to do the NI here, clump things
Yeah.
together and just see where we are at in this interview. So I'm thinking I'd like to address the consume last.
Right. Yeah,
So we
cool.
both have it. So for you, first of all, was it a surprise that you were consume last, or did you know? And how do you see that function? Can you see it at all, or animal?
Yeah. Um. So I was like, I signed up to like Binyamin's like typing team, right? So I was like just sending my videos to them, and they came back to me. They all see me as consume last as well. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
they did a really good job. You know what? Like they saw me as like Dave's type, which is like actually really close. Like just I think one coin off from like it's just a TI-FI bit that was different. Um, so being consume last was kind of known to me at the time. Like I was like, okay, people actually think I'm consume last, but I was like, no, I'm not consume last. I don't think so. So
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, because I watch videos, right? Of like I watch YouTube videos, so I was like, how is that not consumed?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
That's
it
what we
obviously it's
say.
way
Yeah.
more in depth than just watching videos. You know, like it's a lot more like updating your worldview as well, of like actually considering what's being said, kind of thing. Of like, okay, you know what, maybe I can update my TI alongside of that SE, right? Of like, this is what I previously thought. Now maybe I need to think this instead, and like
Yeah.
based upon the new SE data. But what was happening at the time prior to getting typed was like the SE was coming in and like the TI was like no, 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 and like,
Mm.
or like it'd be a thing of like I wouldn't even consider the SE to begin with. So I wouldn't even consider the fact that, oh, you guys thought I
Yeah.
was this. I wouldn't entertain that idea to begin with. I'd just be like, nope.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I would that was so it was a pretty it was pretty difficult to like budge from save and consume thinking to consume last. I would say so, but eventually, you know, I did have to accept it, especially after getting typed. But the thing that was difficult was the TI because I didn't think I was TI at all. I thought I was FI,
Mm-hmm.
and so I needed to change my own like worldview of like what was you know, like being TI not FI as well. So that was kind of difficult.
Mm.
Um, but I definitely do think talking to Save It Consumes, and I have a lot of friends that are Save It Consume, Blast Last especially, and I can see how like my consume is definitely lacking when I see how quick they are to update, right? I see the update game with these guys as well, and I see when I compare myself, it's not happening. You know, it might happen, but like I'm more likely to question, do I need to update? And if I don't need to update, which more likely tends to be the answer, then you know I
Mm.
don't update. But like I just see them
Yeah.
updating way more.
All right.
Like it's like
Yeah.
instantly jumping on it.
Do I need to update? That's the question. Yeah. Very good. Nicely put.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just thinking because I had Antoine on here before. I don't know if you've talked to him, maybe in the
I
VC.
know of him. He seems like a
But
good guy.
yeah, he's also very close to you, by the way. He's you, but the infodom version. So play last instead of consume last. Yeah.
Oh, right, interesting.
Yeah. We were talking about this consume last thing once, and he said that the consume last, it's kind of a very deep consume, while the consume savior, it's broad, you know, it's scanning
Yeah.
the whole spectrum of things. But we are consuming, but it's very directed towards
That's the thing,
something.
right? Because always taking control of it. That's kind of like it's just filtering out all this excess garbage of like, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this.
Yeah.
This is what you need right here. That's kind of
Yeah.
like, but then the problem lies was like, how do you know which you how? But what if that thing that you cut out, like you might have needed that thing, right?
You
So
might
it's
have,
like
yes.
you're already making assumptions that you
Mm,
don't need this thing, but the trick is they could arise a possibility that you do need that
yes,
thing without
exactly.
realizing in the moment.
Mm,
Yeah,
so
that's kind
true.
of like, yeah,
Yeah, so it's more like we know what we are going after, while a consume savior, maybe they don't know what they are going after because they are
that
just
makes
so
sense.
broad, you know.
Yeah, it makes sense why they would be that why they'd struggle to get started because they're like just taking so much time looking at all the options, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, but then you see when they do actually start, you know, loading up their consume box, they can start blasting that stuff out. Like, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like you can get a couple of blasts that are not too bad at talking, to be honest. Like, but as long as you know they've consumed, sleep, processed, you know, play slash, you know, all that kind of stuff. They've done their animals in working order. Like they can, you know, when you hear them talking, you wouldn't even expect them to be blast last. I mean, look at Shan, right? Like Shan's actually really good at, a lot of people have pointed out she's a good talker.
Yeah, right.
And like you wouldn't really suspect that she's blast purely from looking at the videos, but you know what I mean? Like it just shows you put in the work, right? You can, like, doesn't matter what last animal you have, like you don't have to be chained to that sort of, like, you know, consume last disease or blast last disease, all this kind of stuff. Like it's just showing you what's going to potentially be your kind of problems. But if you can solve the problems, like they're not like, it's not like those problems can't be fixed, but the minute you do start fixing those problems, like you're fine, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to, you won't look like a consume last douchebag kind of thing, and vice
No,
versa. Like you won't look like somebody who just can't talk at all.
exactly. And I think that's the thing, even with like a blast, they do know how to blast, but also it's a depth thing. So it will be in certain areas, like a given
Yeah,
topic. They will not just go about and blast about anything, you know?
for sure. You know what's funny is, like, you can get them talking for with this thing that they've only consumed, but the minute you start poking around, like, okay, what about this thing they haven't consumed? Like, they'll be like, okay, I need to go look that up. I don't know. I'm not
Exactly.
too. That's where you see where their ability to start considering and like ability to start updating their worldview will start kicking in, because they're like, I'm not like convinced on this thing yet, and I can't therefore share that information.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I
exactly.
mean? That's when they're gonna start going back to the drawing board, almost of like, yeah, I need to think this through kind of thing.
Yeah, and maybe that would be drawing board, that would be more of sleep, I think, while
Yeah,
consume
like
would be
I'm
the
used to like a lot of sleep
research.
consumes, to be honest. Like, so I
Mm,
see I see how the sleep consume works.
yeah,
A lot of my friends tend to be sleep consume, play blast. Actually, that animal stack I bond really well with. Um,
cool.
yeah. Have you talked to any like lead consumes? Like I've talked to a couple, but I haven't really
Yeah,
figured that one out.
the animal stack that I really appreciate, I do like the consume sleeps. I guess the sleep saviors, I mean, it's not that I dislike other stacks, just to be clear. It's just that
Yeah.
the sleep savior will kind of work well with me because I also am a sleep savior.
Yeah.
And it will be more processed, you know, so even if it's blast last or blast third, it will still be kind of a processed state, you know. So it's not as skibby and you know, hard to follow for me as an OI.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So what was the question? Yeah, I do appreciate the
Like,
concept.
how have you noticed like your interactions with like lead consumers? Like, if you have like spoken to any lead consumers,
Mm-hmm.
um,
My interactions with the lead consumes.
yeah. And more so in relation to the worldview aspect, rather like updating kind of thing. Like, how have
Mm.
you noticed like those guys doing that where you're not doing it, kind of thing, right?
Interesting, yeah. So one thing they do, like even during a conversation, I have learned to do that now. They can just, you know, go online and Google something up. I'm sure everyone does that these days, but I
Yes.
don't know. I'm just doing it in the
Do you
middle
do
of
it,
the
by the way? Like,
conversation. If
do you feel the urge to do it though?
I have learned to do it. I've learned it from the consume people I have around me. That, oh yeah, I can check this right away. I don't have to guess. I don't have to blast about something I don't know anything about. I can actually check it, you know.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
interesting.
and they can do that. And also I can see that they seem to be, you know, zoning out and maybe, you know, whatever they are thinking about in their sleep, but they
Yeah,
still seem to somehow pick up on what's going on the outside. Like they're still consuming.
yeah,
Not always, maybe, but they seem to be able to get back on track like really fast. It's not like they are totally lost. And I
yeah,
feel that is superior to what my functions can do. I think why I admire the consume sleeps is because they do consume before they sleep process. So I don't know.
yeah,
I think there is a huge difference. So for me, having sleep over consume It's like I am obligated to sleep process before I move on with the next consume, which makes my consume really super slow, because if I'm obligated to understand and piece things together before I can move on, it's a very lengthy process. And with them, it seems like they can just, consume, and then they sleep process whatever they want to sleep process. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's like they don't have to filter the consume through their sleep. That is fascinating to me, because I can't do that.
Bloody hell, yeah. I'd agree with that. That seems to make sense. Like, I noticed for me as well, it's very much like that as well. With the lead sleep, especially, being able to consume, it's very much a process of taking a lot more in time with the thing. And then it's like, before you move on, it's like, okay, let's thoroughly understand this kind of thing. And like, man, yeah, that lead sleep just sucks. And like, in all honesty, like for me especially, like in the real life, playable sleep, trust me, like that's way better. Like I'd trade that in a heartbeat. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
oh, play above sleep. Do you think so?
Listen, those guys, they might have their problems, processing. That doesn't even matter. Like honestly, just kill out an outside world. You know what I mean? Try a bunch of random crap out. Like you don't want to be in a process where you're already organizing, you're already narrowing down. You're like 21. Like that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You don't start organizing.
You organize things that will never happen.
You got nothing to organize. What are we organizing? You know what I mean? Like,
start by organizing. Organizing what? Yeah, that is so true.
yeah. Exactly,
yeah.
right.
I guess you gotta
get some stuff in, right? You can't stop. It's stupid, right? Because it's still like my natural instinct is like, oh, like just start organizing already, but it just doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
Do you find that you are like a lot in your house, like doing your sleep thing, and
yeah, everything is like I do the same thing basically. Like I don't do it like I love doing this like the same thing over and over again. Like I don't mind as well. Like I notice like some of the people like say always that like want to change things up. I'm like, I'm more than happy to just do the same thing over and over again. Like it doesn't bother me in the slightest.
It's like one of those movies when you are trapped in this time loop, like every day is repeating itself.
Groundhog Day, right? Like that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's OI. Yeah.
For sure. I feel like there's an attitude thing of it as well, of like because it's a savior, it's like there's no real like discontent with it. There's no real like need to make it new. So like if everything's the same, it's like whatever, you know what I mean? You get over it. But as soon as things start springing in that's not the same, it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like things start falling apart, things are breaking, you know what I mean? It's like I didn't prepare for this. So that's kind of where like the sensory chaos starts to like emerge. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like you could just be chilling I'd be chilling in the house and then the boiler stops working. I'm like, fuck's sake, now I've got to fix this, you know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah.
You have a little bit of Dave in you after all.
A little bit, creeping with him there.
Yeah. So yeah, two things we haven't addressed. I mean, we haven't really talked about the sensory of your life. We are like in intuition land all the time. We're talking about concepts and we're talking about functions and animals and blah, blah, blah.
That's great, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I love it. But I really don't know anything about you. And that's not even necessary. You can bond with a person without knowing anything. That's the fantastic aspect with intuition, I guess. But is there something you want to tell about like your choices in terms of studies or work or anything, and how do you see them correlated to your functions or your animals, things like that? Like real life stuff.
I can mention in regards to like the university, especially like I see when I'm like in class and stuff like that, like I see my TI kicking in a lot of the time of like I see because there's a lot of TEs in my class, right, and I see them jumping of like, oh, let's figure this out together, right? And like this throwing out stupid answers. I'm like, what are you even doing, bro? Like, did you not think that through? Like, you're gonna make yourself look stupid here, man. Like,
yeah, right.
Like that's kind of like how I just think of him. Like, but like here's the thing, like they don't mind looking stupid. Like they're like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like they just want to get the work done together. I'm like, damn.
Right.
For me, it's always a case of like, especially when I'm in class, I'm just like, I don't want to say something like that's gonna make me look dumb, right? I'm like, that's because I don't want others to think that of me, because like I'm kind of like judging them at the same time as well. So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
see, but like yeah, man, it's just a stupid like DI of like it doesn't really like having the intelligence right tied to like me as well. It does kind of like slow me down, because I'm like, I'm less likely to just be like, oh, let's just try a bunch of random crap out for the sake of it, right? Even despite it being Savior Blast play, because
Yeah.
like the skills and like developing all that kind of stuff is very much personal to me. So I'm like, I don't want to just spring this out and like just, you know what I mean? Like but at the same time, like I think a T is a really good function to have. Especially I think it's
It
really
is.
useful, you know what, especially when you're like trying to gain new skills, you're trying to work with people. It's a really good tactic as well. Me, I'm kind of like fucking cheerleader almost, of like, just like, yeah guys, we got this, you know what I mean, don't even worry about it. We're doing like, we got this in the bag, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I might half-ass and like, you know what I mean, but like I don't want to make it out to be like oh, I'm doing nothing at all. Like I will still try and engage, because you know, like especially within the context of a team, like I do feel like it's a bit, I'm being too much of a DI douchebag to just be doing nothing at all. Like I need to engage and actually help these guys out as well. But the manner in which I do it, and the manner in which they do, you know, to help, I see the contrast of that as well. With the TI and the TE split. And vice versa, you know, like getting work back, like, you know, I submit an assignment and I get it back. I'm just, especially if I've spent a lot of time on that assignment, it can be pretty, yeah, not nice. Because you see, like, I see how I was like lacking in XYZ area and I didn't think of it before. And the fact that they thought of about that as well and they bring it to me is very just like,
Annoying.
yes, for sure. Because I'm like, fuck, you know what I mean? Why didn't I think about this? Why didn't I think about this? Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
after all, I mean, TE was one of the key components that discovered this whole opcode. So
It's great, you know what I mean? Like you can't even
pretty
fault it, to be honest.
useful. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just have to, you know, bow down a bit for TE, I guess.
I think another thing as well could be Savior NI as well. I'll describe that as, because I've described a lot of the DI side of it. But in regards to the NI, I noticed that I do a lot of overview talk, a lot of like not giving enough clarity, which is kind of funny because I demand clarity from other people. So it's kind of like hypocritical of me. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, man, Savior intuition sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Like sensory, like Savior sensory might look, it might be, you might, it's annoying to me. Like whenever like I see a Savior sensor, just keep not take any guess, you know what I mean, and just constantly like be like, oh, what is this, what is this, what do you mean, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And like just, but at the same time, that's it's the right attitude. Don't start making assumptions. That's not what you want to do, you know what I mean? Like making assumptions that actually start leading you down a path that you're probably not supposed to be, but you're just thinking, oh, you know what I mean, they obviously meant this thing, right? But then if you actually like bring it up to and say, okay, did you actually mean this thing? They'll be like, no, I meant this thing. And you're like, oh fuck, but I just assumed you meant this thing, right?
Yeah, and
So
then we are building
much,
on the wrong path.
yeah, that's big problem.
Yeah.
That's
That's
where
so
NITI starts going in the mud, like literally, because you're just absolutely like making assumptions on top of assumptions. Because it's, you're not looking at the spectrum of like, you know, like reasons or like tribe reasons. You're looking at your own reasons, and you're looking at, you're building your own assumptions as well.
yeah.
Like that's a really dangerous method, I feel like, especially this in the world we live in, right? You gotta be, you know, like if you're OE and DE, you'll get away with it, but if you're NITI, you're not gonna get away with it, that's for sure. And when you do eventually get into trouble, you're gonna get into trouble for like really like, and you're not gonna see it as well. Like you're just gonna be like, what the heck? Like, I didn't think I'd get like. It's just because like you're assuming, like making too many assumptions, and at the same time stacking too many like logic with those assumptions as well. So like yeah, man. You
Yeah.
gotta look at the SE a little bit.
Yeah, really, we need to do that, both of us. And I think, like, when you're talking about assumptions, like, it's just that it's so easy to keep on guessing. And
That's the
for
problem, isn't it?
some
Yeah,
reason, it seems so hard to just ask like a straightforward, simple question, you know? It's
yeah,
like my mind, I hardly ever think of that. Like, I could actually ask, why didn't anyone tell me? I could actually have asked one simple question and, got the answer. But I can go
yeah,
for years and years and, just building on guesses, and it could go this way, or if it's this guess, then it would be probably that,
yeah.
all these simulations running for no reason at all.
The problem, innit? Like, with having, we both got that double activator NI as well, so it's like, guess that's where the trouble starts coming, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
it's a savior, but it's also double activated, so you're using it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So whenever like you start going to SE mode, it's very much like a case of, do you know how we were talking about like FE kind of feels fake for TIs or like lead TIs?
Yeah.
Like when I start doing SE as well, it's just I'm always like irritated and like it's just like so much lack of patience, like so much lack of like I can't be asked, can I just guess? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just get someone in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like like it's just long, innit? It's just boring and it's just like you just don't want to look at it pretty much. But I feel like, if you do a bit of it, you know what I mean, 5 or 10 minutes then a day is great, I feel like, than doing nothing at all.
Yeah. So connected to that boring function, then SE, I'm thinking about food and eating. Like, it's interesting how some OIs seem to be very content with the similar kind of food over and over again. Would you put
Yeah.
yourself in that category, or are you more broad, more SE, or yeah, how do you see it in your life?
I don't mind, I just eat whatever as long as it goes in the belly, right? Like fill
Right,
meal, do the job, that's all. Like
pretty much the same here. Yeah.
because I'm like, get whatever even if I don't like it, I'll be like, I don't care if I don't like it, like just get it in the stomach, you know what I mean? Let the digestive system do its thing. Like
Yeah, it's a
who cares about
practical
the food?
thing.
Just, you know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
keep the tank going and just get on, doing whatever needs to be done.
Yeah. Actually, that's kind of a thing I'm working on right now. I'm trying to cook more. I mean, yeah, I'm not really a cook, but I'm trying, and just do some variations, I guess. And
Yeah.
yeah, trying to challenge myself, because it's always that question, every day. Oh no, I'm hungry again, and what am I gonna eat? And
Yeah.
it's kind of the most boring question of the day. But yeah, trying to work on that and become a little bit more interested, I guess.
That's kind of where the demon sensory plays in as well. Like hunger, like not drinking enough water and all that kind of stuff, because like you're just not looking at that to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You'll feel it when the headaches start coming, or like, your stomach's like,
Yeah.
tank's empty now. We gotta, start feeling up, and then you're just like, what do I eat now? And it's like, oh man. Then you have to go to the kitchen, you start cooking stuff, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, just can't be asked in it, like, honestly.
Do you sometimes just eat ingredients, whatever you have?
I just eat whatever's easiest, honestly. Like whatever's the simplest thing, I'll just have that. Like even if
Yeah.
it's not nice, it might be disgusting. I'll just be like, listen, we just gotta make sacrifices. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather not cook, so I'm just gonna have this crap right here.
Yeah, it's so fun to listen to. Yeah. Oh, what was my last question? This feminine NI of mine. Everyone keeps blaming the feminine sensory, but I think the feminine intuition is just equally bad. I had a question in mind. I think I lost it. The question was
feminine eyes kicked in again, eh?
Yeah, it did. Okay, so do you have any advice for your type or similar type as yourself? Like anything
Advice.
you
Wouldn't that
would,
be the
yeah?
opposite thing of what I should do? Like,
I mean, if you've gone through something like in terms of a tidal wave or some sort of lesson,
Oh,
like
all right, yeah, I got you.
that kind of a learning experience, if you want to pass forward some words of wisdom, some guru style wisdom.
Yeah, listen, like number one, like you're wrong. Just start with the fact that you're wrong, and that's way more easier to begin with than starting with the fact that I'm right and everybody else is wrong. Number two, you just gotta listen, start asking questions, you know what I mean? Be more involved with the sensory. It's really like you'll get annoyed, but you just gotta work through being annoyed, you know what I mean? Which is kind of difficult being demon feeling as well at the same time. So it's like but it's one of those things, you just gotta get through it, like, you know what I mean? You can have fun, you can do whatever the hell you want to do for the rest of the day, but just schedule a little portion of the day to do some tedious crap, right? Of like, you know, sensory, you know, make sure the house is in order, make sure whether you've got it, you know, like, you know, make sure your room's in order. I'm kind of looking at my room, it's not in order right now, so I'm kind of a hip. I probably need to take my own advice here, like.
Yeah, I'm not gonna turn this camera around, I assure you.
We're not showing that side of the room under no circumstance.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's one of those things you just gotta get out of your head, honestly. Like, get out of your head and like take a look around your room for a start. That'd be a good point. Like, make a note whether tasks need doing, you know what I mean, ST related, because I know with like Demon ST, I can relate to that as well, of like, you know, making things work. Like, I do kind of neglect making things work in the sensory for sure. So, but you've got to make sure that's on point, because if you start working in sensory, like, you're going to run into big trouble very shortly. Especially if you're going to need your computer, right? And you're not making sure your computer's updated to the most, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Listen, you might be in a Zoom call or something like that, and your computer's just gonna one day it's gone, right? Like, it's just gonna be mashed up, just get messed up. But then because you've not been updating it, right, you're just like, fuck this stupid. That's where the observer, like, you know, tantrumy type of feeling of like, fuck, you know, like, you know, when Dave talks about like, oh, phones are annoying, these are annoying kind of thing. It creeps up because you're just not updating it, you know, like, but get it through like the NITI, sleep last play. Like, if you can get everything within the box, make everything your IJ box, like, you can work through it. I feel like it feels way more easier. Like, you know, like Dave talks about, like, you know, because he struggled with like his house or something like that, like making it work in function order. So like he started thinking like, okay, these are my walls of Jericho, right? Like, everything within this type of thing. So now I've got to make it my responsibility to go around and make sure everything's great, you know what I mean? In those things that he's really scared about, like, still, like, you know what I mean? But like with the context of like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, like, I'm gonna make a bunch of assumptions. I'm gonna figure out how can I, you know, start tinking around with the TI and seeing how can I make this work, you know what I mean? But just keep more of an open eye, I feel like, as well, especially because, like, I know with Demon Sensory, you just want to ignore things, but that's not the right move, I'm afraid.
No,
ignoring things is not the right move.
No, it's not. Not even close. Yeah. That's a good note to end on, I think.